Last December, I did a solo money-making guide when the Agents of Sabotage DLC released, and I talked about the ways in which that DLC improved upon GTA Online and all the various money-making methods, and I also did a guide on all of the previous updates before that, and the top 15 best ways to make money in GTA Online. I thought that would be one of the final times I make a video similar to that, because of course GTA 6 was still planned to release at some point in 2025, so we had limited time left for new updates and new ways to make money, but now that the game has been delayed to May of 2026. Rockstar, of course, has released 2 new DLCs since then, one of which is a gateway to 3 new businesses, as well as several improvements to existing businesses, and so I figured today it was an excellent time to revisit that old guide and update it with some new money-making methods, focusing, of course, first on the new Money Fronts update and what it brings to the table. And speaking of money fronts, if you haven't opened GTA Online in the last 2 weeks, well, let me give you a brief rundown. We now have a car wash business in the game, which in typical Rockstar fashion reuses the same hands-on property that's been in the game since 2013, but it does add a few new interiors because you could previously only watch a cutscene as your car went through the wash, but now you can actually walk in and start money laundering operations through your office laptop, and these will pay around $35,000 for 6 to 7 minutes of work at absolute most, with 0 cooldown in between missions. So if you want to grind money, you can simply call up Raph, your contact for this DLC, and he's also your faithful manager at the car wash, and he'll hand you new missions over the phone just like Franklin does with the agency. And if you don't like a particular mission, just load into a new invite-only lobby and call him again. It takes about 10 seconds, he'll give you a new one. In addition to money laundering missions, which are your primary source of income with the new car wash, you also get Mr. Faber work and Mr. Faber missions, which have a prep screen and multiple stages per mission with 6 unique missions in total. And surprisingly, these Mr. Faber work pay less than the regular money laundering work, which is kind of a mystery to me, best left to the genius minds at Rockstar, because for some reason they decided that it totally makes sense for players to earn $30,000 for 12 minutes of work in 2025, and then the 5-minute missions can pay you out $35,000, and that's if you grab the bonus objectives, because without these you'll probably be sitting at about $26,000 per mission, which is just absolutely ridiculous in a world where payphone hits also give you $45K for a small fraction of the time investment. But anyways, rant aside, the Mr. Faber work are still worth it for a first time playthrough, as they do have some interesting setups and storylines. I really like the Monopoly, which is a mission where you drive around the map and attack 3 rival money laundering businesses, then deliberately leave a few of their crew members alive so they can report back to their Armenian mob boss, who then challenges you to a 1v1 at La Puerta Apartments in Little Seoul. But when you get there, you realize he's a cheater and he actually has a small army of bodyguards surrounding him, so it quickly turns into a crapshoot with grenades and machine guns going off all over the place. Liquid Market is also a really fun mission, and the game introduces you to 2 new mechanics in this one: lockpicking and attack dogs. Lockpicking is pretty simple. You just hold a direction on your left stick, whichever one is flashing on the screen, and then you turn the right stick to insert the lockpick into the correct slot. And once you get inside the house during the setup for this mission, you come face to face with a large Rottweiler who then starts barking at you, and at this point you can either deal with him in the traditional way, or you can feed him a can of dog food to calm him down, and the game even allows you to pet him, which is pretty cool. Later on in this mission, you'll infiltrate a scrap yard where you have even more guard dogs, and these guys are very tanky despite not wearing any kind of armor, so you can choose to go in loud and blast them to pieces with your assault shotgun, or you can choose to sneak in without alerting anyone and feed the dogs so they don't see you as a threat. Like many other businesses in this game, your car wash also comes with a safe that accumulates money from all your other businesses, and if you own every business in the game, you make $28,000 every 48 minutes. This is completely passive income, and the safe maxes out at $100,000. You also have a new system called Heat, and this is a meter that fills up every time you do a Mr. Faber mission or money laundering job for Raph. Once your heat is full, you can't accumulate any more money in the safe, and you can't do any car wash missions either. Heat goes up by 10% for every mission that you do, and there's also an 8% increase to the heat bar for every in-game day. So even if you don't engage with your car wash, you'll still get more heat over time, which I think is absurd, but hey, Rockstar does need a way to keep you occupied with artificial fluff. They have to implement artificial game lengthening in some regard, and I guess the heat bar is a cooldown of sorts since we don't have regular cooldowns in between missions, but the good news is that you can reset it to 0 with a single car wash, which only takes maximum 3, maybe 4 minutes. And finally, the car wash also unlocks 2 new businesses: Higgins Helitours, which has a helicopter themed money laundering set of missions, and Smoke on the Water, which has weed themed money laundering missions. Payouts are the same, so you'll be making around $400,000 per hour on average if you just spam money laundering missions with an Oppressor Mark II or a Sparrow, so about on par with the Darnell Bros FIB FIB files, but with more mission variety and shorter missions that are way easier to complete. The main advantage of owning Higgins Helitours and the car wash and Smoke on the Water is that you'll also get a buff for 3 other businesses. The car wash increases all of your counterfeit cash sale mission values by 35%, pulling in slightly ahead of the Coke lockup, which used to be the most lucrative MC business before this update, and Smoke on the Water increases your grass farm payout by 35%. So now it isn't a complete waste of time for grinders, still mid-tier but a lot less underwhelming than before. And finally, Higgins Helicopter Tours will boost all air freight and hangar cargo sales by 10%, which means it's an excellent time to start investing in a hangar if you don't already own one. The next best solo moneymaker I'm going to talk about here is the McKenzie Field hangar that we got earlier this year in March with the Oscar Guzman Flies Again DLC, and it has 2 money-making methods. First is of course the Oscar Guzman heist itself, and second is the gun running, which you can safely ignore unless you want to unlock all the trade prices for the Duster and the Rattel, because you only make about 30 to 50k with arms trafficking missions for around 10 to maybe sometimes even up to 15 minutes of work, which isn't that great. But thankfully the Oscar Guzman heist is pretty good, as it pays $500,000 on normal difficulty, and if you do it on hard mode later you get $750,000, which is excellent for a heist that takes a little over an hour, and you can even do it in under an hour if you employ a few tricks. Let me know in the comments if I should do a guide on how to complete the Oscar Guzman Flies Again questline in under an hour as a solo player, because it's very doable, you just need some practice. Number 3 is the Garment Factory, which we got with the Agents of Sabotage DLC just last December, and this gives you access to new heists called FIB files, which have 3 setup missions as well as a finale mission. There are a total of 4 heists that you can access from either the Darnell Bros Garment Factory itself or the new Darnell Bros app on your phone, and every week we have what's called a priority file, and this one pays twice the amount of money as the normal ones at $300,000 per heist on average, and a further $50,000 if you complete the bonus objectives, and the whole thing only takes about 20 to 30 minutes, so you should do at least the priority file every single week for that money. Next, you have 3 regular FIB files that rotate in and out with the priority, and these pay $150,000 and also have that bonus of up to $50,000 per mission when you do all the objectives, and these can be played endlessly just with a 5-minute cooldown in between each file. The main downside of the FIB files though is that there's very little variety. You only get 4 total missions in total, which is going to get boring fast if you're a grinder, so I don't recommend doing these over and over and over. However, the missions themselves are nicely multi-layered, and they're really interesting with all sorts of cool set pieces and futuristic gadgets and vehicles for you to play around with, so you feel like you're a super spy. If you like gunplay and hacking and stealing cool vehicles from highly secure facilities, the Darnell Bros Garment Factory is a must-buy. It will also unlock unique upgrades for your Terabyte, and one of those is the Master Control Terminal, which I think is the best thing that a grinder can have next to an Oppressor Mark II. Plus, you can also install new missile jammers on your Terabyte if you own the Garment Factory, and that's actually going to make it the most unkillable vehicle in the entire game, even tankier than the MOC, because while the MOC can actually tank more rockets than the Terabyte just won't get hit as often, and it can also mount a missile turret, so you can actually shoot back at the griefers instead of just sitting there like a passive damage sponge. Next, let's talk about the bail office, which I personally like, but it's still quite underwhelming compared to the other DLCs. Not in terms of pure money-making potential, because if you want, you can absolutely grind these bounties until your brain atrophies from a lack of engagement, but that would be counterproductive, and it kind of ruins the whole point of playing a game like GTA Online. No, the main issue that I have with the bail office is the repetitive mission structure, where you spend most of your time driving around in a slow vehicle, tasing people, and then driving all the way back in that same bounty van. Now, of course, you could speed up the first half by using your own personal vehicle for the drive to the location, but bringing back the target still requires you to use the designated bounty van. And I think honestly, if Rockstar would just let us use our own vehicles and we could put the bounty in our own car, that would make them play the DLC a lot more. But we also have content like Most Wanted Targets, and that's going to be the main money maker for the business, which, by the way, they're slightly more engaging because you sometimes have to search for clues, hack stuff, or fight off groups of heavily armed enemies, but they're only available once per day, so the only engaging missions are limited to a once a day type of playthrough, and the mind-numbingly boring ones can be done 3 times per hour. Madrazo hits and passive income from the bail agents are also nice additions, but unfortunately these just simply feel like side dishes in a meal that's missing the main course. Plus, you have to remember that apart from the Paleto Bay bail office, which nobody should buy by the way, all the other locations cost over $2 million, which makes the bail office one of the more expensive businesses, and for that price you don't even get a proper garage or living quarters, so you can spawn in whenever you start the game. The living quarters are just super basic, and although you can spawn in it, it just doesn't look that nice, which makes the bail office one of the more expensive expensive businesses, and for that price you don't even get a proper garage or living quarters so you can spawn in whenever you start the game immediately. Living quarters are an extra purchase, and each agent costs $750,000, and they only bring in $5,000 to $10,000 per in-game day. So overall, in terms of money making, the bail office is just alright in the scale of things, and in terms of mission structure, it's very underwhelming except for the most wanted targets. This business is still decent for solo players or even players out there who own every single other business, but if you're a newbie to GTA Online, you're going to be better off with any of the other businesses in this video. Like for example, the Salvage Yard, which generates both passive and active money. You can do tow truck missions for up to $40,000 per car, which you get every in-game day with upgrades installed, and you can install a second lift to salvage 2 cars at the same time, and this will work even while you're offline, so you're making up to $80,000 per in-game day, which is amazing by itself. But wait, it gets better, because once you salvage 4 cars, your safe will also accumulate $24,000 per in-game day, so you're making over $100,000 every 48 minutes, and all you have to do is a couple of tow truck missions every hour to keep this up. These barely take any time at all as well, because you just drive your tow truck a mile or 2 away from the shop, hook up a vehicle and bring it back, maybe 3 minutes max, and you're making nearly the same amount of money as a nightclub. Plus you also get car robberies, 3 a week, ranging in value from $250,000 all the way up to $400K, so that's another $900,000 every week. And sometimes Rockstar will also allow you to keep a car that you stole. The only real negative of the Salvage Yard is that it does require a decent bit of cash up front. First, you have to buy the business, then you have to install the staff upgrades, and you also have to buy a tow truck, so you're investing around $3.5 million, but you will make that money back really fast, and you'll also be raking in profits in no time. The Clucking farm raid was added in March of 2024 with the Chop Shop update drip feed, and it's similar to the Oscar Guzman Flies Again questline, as well as Agents of Sabotage, except this heist paved the way for that content. You can make $500,000 in less than 45 minutes when farming this questline, and it's a super beginner-friendly way to make money that level 1 players should get started with right away. There's no upfront monetary investment involved. You don't need to own the Salvage Yard or any other business like that. None of that. For a new player, they should be playing the Clucking farm raid from day 1 of GTA Online and using that money to buy other businesses like the agency, Kasatka, Acid Lab, etc. This is the very first step to making $100 million as fast as possible in GTA, and you can check out that video I linked at the top right of your screen if you're interested. The agency is also another one of my favorites for several reasons here. It's one of the few businesses in the game that lets you make the maximum amount of money possible from the start without any upgrades. Well, almost the maximum amount, because you do need to do 200 security contracts before the safe income hits the highest value per day, but hey, that's just the cherry on top of an awesome cake of tons of other money-making endeavors. And the cake I'm talking about here comes in the form of the Dr. Dre contract, which is the biggest beneficiary of the new skippable cutscene feature that Rockstar added, because it had the longest cutscenes of any heist in the game. So now you can do the Dr. Dre heist in a little over 60 minutes, and it pays $1.1 million every single time, which is on par with Kaio Pico now. Then you have the agency vehicle workshop, which can install Amani Tech upgrades like the missile lock-on jammers, remote control units, and armor on eligible cars. And with the Money Fronts update, we just got 50 more new vehicles that are eligible for Amani Tech, so again, a massive W for agency owners. You also get free snacks and an armory that sells body armor on the same floor, right next to your bedroom, so you can spawn in, load up on equipment, and head out in your personal vehicle or agency helicopter to do a mission. And you can even use the SUV service, which is basically a fast travel with 10 different locations around the map. And when you're outside, you can get security contracts as well as payphone hits simply by pulling out your phone and calling up Franklin. For all of these reasons, I believe the agency is an S-tier business and a must-have for solo GTA Online players. And we can't mention S-tier businesses without bringing up the Acid Lab, of course, one of the best money grinding methods for solo players, or really all players in the game. Once you do the first and last dose missions, as well as 10 Fooligan jobs, you'll have enough cash to install the Acid Lab, as well as the upgraded equipment in your Brigade 6x6 that you get for free. And don't forget that Ocelot Virtue hypercar you get at the end of last dose. That alone is worth $3 million if you were to buy it via the in-game website, but you get it for $0 for finishing the last dose missions. And now the Acid Lab generates $351,000 with a full bar of product and a named acid product, and it only takes around 3 hours to fill up if you just have the equipment upgrade, but you can fill it up even faster if you use the production speed boost once per day. And the best part is that you can easily summon the Acid Lab to your current location on the map, as it's a service vehicle, and if you want to resupply, simply call up Mutt on your cell phone. No need to visit the lab, and while selling, you'll also get a single vehicle, unlike MC businesses which give you 2 to 3 slow vehicles, and that is honestly such an awesome advantage if you're solo. No garbage trucks, dodos, boats, slow trucks, anything like that. Just you and your Manches Scout, which is hands down the easiest bike to use in the entire game. Kaio Pico is also goated for solo players, and the only thing wrong with this heist is that it's simply too dang good, which is why a lot of people will bore themselves to death by spamming it off cooldown and then complain about the game not being fun anymore when all they've done the last 2 weeks is Kaio Pico like a hamster running on a wheel. Guys, it's okay to take breaks. There are so many other businesses in the game to enjoy, so just play those. It's not just about making money on its own. The point of GTA Online is to have fun while making that money so you can enjoy the new things you're buying. But coming back to the Kaio Pico heist, you just need $2.2 million for the Kasaka submarine to start this up, and if you're serious about grinding it, a $1.8 million Sparrow helicopter will do you just fine. That's it. Now you can make on average about $1 million an hour. There are 5 setup missions in total: approach vehicle, 3 equipment preps, and an unmarked weapon setup. All of these take less than 10 minutes if you have a Sparrow or a Presser, and the finale itself can comfortably be done in 10 to 12 minutes without killing more than a couple of guards. Do the elite challenge and that's another $50,000 in your bag. Do it in hard mode and you'll earn a 10% bonus on the primary target plus 100,000 in the elite challenge if you nail all hacks on the first try and don't get detected. The Nightclub is also a must-have, as that's the best passive source of income in the entire game. Seriously, there are only 2 times you'll ever visit your nightclub. A, when you need to collect the cash from the wall safe, and B, when you want to do the warehouse sell missions. Once you buy a nightclub, I recommend investing in some storage upgrades so you can accumulate more product before selling, and buy a pounder custom for the big deliveries. Skip purchasing the mule custom because once you buy a nightclub delivery vehicle, you can't get rid of it, and the mule is so bad that you'll never want to use it. So please, trust me on that. There are also only 5 businesses that you should assign text to in your warehouse management section, and those are the ones for special cargo or the hangar, bunker, the Coca-Cola lockup, counterfeit cash factory, as well as the math. Now make sure to sell every time your 3 MC businesses are full: the cash, the math, as well as the Coca-Cola, which should be once per 20 real life hours if you have the storage upgrades. And that's it. That's all there is to the nightclub. Every sell mission is going to make you about $1 million, give or take, and the wall safe is going to help you earn over $100,000 an hour with the nightclub when you combine both the warehouse as well as the wall safe. So go buy it right now if you haven't already. Now, I've already mentioned the Salvage Yard earlier, but here's another vehicle-related business that you should buy that synergizes super well with it: the Autoshop. You can make about $400,000 an hour or so, and you make that money through Autoshop contracts, exotic exports, as well as legit customer work, where basically you modify people's vehicles and deliver them to the customers. More importantly though, for car aficionados, once you buy an Autoshop, you automatically unlock every vehicle performance upgrade and visual mod in the game, regardless of your rank. Now this is of course with the exception of LS Car Meet rank specific vehicle mods, but either way, whenever you get a free ride at the Salvage Yard or any new vehicle in general, you can bring it into your personal Autoshop to modify it for a 10% discount as well, and this 10% discount applies to every other vehicle that you own. And while we're still on the subject of vehicles, let's not forget about the vehicle cargo warehouse, which can generate you millions of dollars if you know how to source the right cars. Basically, you need 10 standard range vehicles and 10 medium range cars first, and 12 top range, no duplicates. After that, every source mission will guaranteed be the 12th top range car you just sold, worth $100,000 each time you sell it. That's how I run it. That way I can choose which top range car to sell. If you want though, and to do the minimum amount of work possible to set up this business, 10 standard range vehicles and 10 mid range will be just fine. That way you'll always source at least a random top range vehicle after that point. Another excellent solo business that everyone should buy at the start is the bunker, which generates both profit as well as unique upgrades such as exotic ammo types and special weapons for your vehicles. Early on, I recommend putting all your researchers on weapons production because that's what makes you money. Once you have a steady cash flow going, you can even choose to switch over to research so you can unlock things like FMJ, armor piercing ammo, and incendiary or explosive rounds for your heavy sniper Mark II and combat MG, or even heavy revolver, or simply buy the research and even do the bunker research missions to unlock all those research upgrades without waiting a long time for your bunker to research that stuff for you. I also recommend investing in a personnel quarters and master control terminal if you own a terabyte, because that way you can easily resupply your bunker. And if you want a guaranteed solo vehicle for sell missions, simply just resupply your bunker once and then sell it when all of those supplies are turned into bunker product. It is possible to do multiple vehicle sell missions solo if you have the Sparrow or a Presser or some other type of flying vehicle that'll get you around fast, but for one, solo vehicle sells involve a lot less risk than multi-vehicle sell missions, and they're also just easier and faster to do. Personally, I just resupply once then sell, since that also helps me stay on track with my Acid Lab sales, where with that I can do a bunker sale as well as an Acid Lab sale back to back every time, and those businesses sync up really nicely so I stay on task. Hangar is number 13 on the list, and thanks to the 10% buff from the Higgins Helitours business, it's better than ever before. Plus, Rooster, as your air freight cargo tech, can source 1, 2, or even 3 crates entirely passively every 48 minutes for you, so all you have to do is spawn into your hangar, pay him 25k to source crates, and then you can go back to doing whatever it is that you want to do. Do this 2 dozen times, and your hangar will sell for millions of dollars with basically zero involvement from your end besides a few button presses. Special cargo is also the same here, only this time you can even have multiple warehouses instead of just being limited to one hangar, and I recommend getting 4 or 5 large warehouses rather than a mix of small, medium, and large because it's just more time efficient. Again, you don't have to do the source missions if you don't want to. As long as your warehouses are stacked next to each other, you can just drive between them, tell your warehouse techs to source crates for you. I sell every month or so when they fill up, since I'm always playing this game, accumulating playtime and asking my techs to go fetch me cargo, but what lots of players may want to do is just fill up their crate warehouses and sit on them and wait for a double money week on special cargo to sell them so they can snag an easy $6 million at a time, selling in full public lobbies. But of course, if you leave your cargo at absolute max long term, you risk getting raided or even getting ghost raided, which you can't do anything about anyways. But nonetheless, large warehouses are quite expensive. They are a long-term investment, so don't worry if you can't afford multiple warehouses right now. I wouldn't stress about that. Just start with 1, maybe even 2 to avoid a cooldown on 1 and build your way up over time. And finally, we've got MC businesses. Right now, the most profitable ones are going to be the counterfeit cash, especially after the 35% buff when you own the car wash, but grass is also worth it after that 35% buff for owning the smoke shop. But personally, I wouldn't touch the document forgery office personally, as it's just abysmal in every way, even in 2025. The main downside with the MC businesses is raids and the multiple slow delivery vehicles. Thankfully, the box fills are gone, but everything else is pretty bad. The dodos, the garbage trucks, even the bikes are pretty slow. Raids you can avoid by simply disbanding your motorcycle club as soon as you're done resupplying or selling before leaving your property, but you still have to deal with multiple sell vehicles, which sucks as a solo player, and keeping up with all of your MC businesses and selling them all the time is just a lot. That kind of becomes your whole playthrough for GTA, and I don't like doing that because I can make money with any of these other money making methods and make more money than just doing these boring, really bad MC sells. But at least now, after the money fronts update, thankfully we are getting more money with the counterfeit cash because of the car wash, as well as more money with the grass farm because of the smoke shop. So that is pretty nice right there. And there you have it. Those are my top 15 solo money-making methods in GTA Online 2025. Let me know how this new update has affected your grind and which businesses you like the most right now. I'm sure some of you will have other personal favorites that differ from what I've shown in this video. Maybe you really like the daily objectives and activities, or maybe you even like VIP work and things of the like. But either way, feel free to share your reasoning and tips and tricks in the comments section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to drop a like if you guys did go on to enjoy this video. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new and you want to see more GTA Online videos like this. Also, make sure to check me out over on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram, specifically twitch.tv/hazardoushtv. And also make sure to check out my YouTube shorts and TikToks for daily short form, rapid fire tips, tricks, news, tutorials, guides, leaks, and more. And with that being said, I will see you guys on the next GTA 5 online video. Adios, amigos.